The argument started over something stupid. I had borrowed my sister Melissa's car 2 days earlier because mine was in the shop, and I returned it with the gas tank half empty instead of full. She'd been building toward an explosion all evening during what was supposed to be a casual dinner at her house. "You're always like this," she said, following me to the front door. "Always taking, never considering other people. Do you know how much gas costs? I'll give you $20 right now. It's not about the money. It's about respect, about consideration, about you thinking the world revolves around you." I stepped outside onto her front porch, trying to de-escalate by leaving. My jacket was still inside on her couch. So was my phone and my emergency medication. I'm type 1 diabetic. Have been since I was 12. I manage it carefully, check my blood sugar, carry glucose tablets and insulin everywhere. That night I'd left my supply bag on Melissa's coffee table when I stepped outside to cool down. About 30 seconds into her lecture through the open door, I felt the symptoms start. The shakiness, the cold sweat, the confusion that comes with rapidly dropping blood sugar. I had been stressed, hadn't eaten much at dinner, and my glucose was crashing hard. "Melissa," I interrupted. "I need to come back inside. I'm having a low." "Oh, here we go. Drama time. Every time I try to have a serious conversation with you, suddenly you have a medical emergency." "I'm not joking. I need my glucose tablets. They're in my bag on your couch. You can get them after you apologize for being inconsiderate." "Melissa, I'm serious. I'm hypoglycemic. I need sugar now." She looked at me, at the sweat on my forehead, at my shaking hands. Then she stepped back and closed the door. I heard the deadbolt turn. I pounded on it. "Melissa, open the door. This isn't funny." "Not my problem," she said through the wood. "Maybe next time you'll think about other people instead of just yourself." "I'm going to pass out. Please, I need my medication." No response. I rang the doorbell. Knocked. My vision blurred. The hypoglycemia was getting worse. Without glucose I'd lose consciousness. Severe lows can cause seizures, brain damage, or death. I stumbled off the porch toward the neighbor's house. I made it about 10 feet before my legs gave out. The last thing I remember is the concrete of Melissa's driveway rushing up toward me. I woke up in an ambulance. The neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, had seen me collapse from her window and called 911. The paramedics had given me glucose, and while I'd regained consciousness, they were taking me to the hospital for monitoring. "Your sister wouldn't open the door," Mrs. Patterson said. "She'd ridden with me in the ambulance. I knocked and told her you collapsed. She said you were being dramatic and to leave her alone." I spent 6 hours in the emergency room. My blood sugar had dropped to 43, critically low. The doctor said another 10 minutes and I could have had permanent brain damage or died. Melissa texted me around midnight. "Hope you're feeling better. Maybe don't be so dramatic next time." I didn't respond. Not then. Not in the following weeks. I didn't answer her calls. Didn't attend family gatherings where she'd be present. My mother tried to mediate. She made a mistake. She didn't realize how serious it was. "She feels terrible." She locked the door and said it wasn't her problem while I was having a diabetic emergency. If she feels terrible, she can apologize directly. The apology never came. Melissa seemed to think enough time passing would make it go away. What she didn't know was that I'd been working on something big. A software project I'd been developing for 3 years. A data analytics platform for healthcare companies. 6 months after the incident on her porch, my startup was acquired by a major tech company for $12 million. After taxes and splitting with my co-founder, I cleared $5.8 million. I went from barely covering rent to wealthy overnight. I bought a modest condo, invested carefully, and lived far below my means. My family knew the startup sold, but not for how much. Melissa certainly didn't know. I tracked Melissa's life from a distance through mutual friends and social media. She'd bought her dream house 4 years earlier, a craftsman-style home in a trendy neighborhood. She called it her forever home, hosted parties constantly, and built her entire identity around it. She'd stretched to afford it. I knew because she once mentioned the mortgage at a family dinner. $490,000 with only 5% down. A loan that required her full income to maintain. 18 months after locking me out, she lost her job. The financial strain showed immediately. The house posts vanished from her social media. Through the grapevine, I heard about the job search dragging on, burned through savings, missed payments. Foreclosure notices are public record. I'd been checking the county database monthly for 2 years, watching Melissa's address with cold interest. When the notice finally posted, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sympathy. Just acknowledgement. The auction was scheduled for a Tuesday morning at the county courthouse. I arrived early, registered as a bidder, and reviewed the property details. The outstanding loan balance was $510,000. Somehow the mortgage had gone underwater. Probably refinancing, penalties, or missed payments. 23 people attended the auction, mostly investors. Melissa wasn't there. Couldn't bear to watch, probably. The auctioneer started at $400,000. 2 investors went back and forth, pushing it higher. At $475,000, one dropped out. The remaining bidder looked confident. $480,000, I said clearly. He countered. We went back and forth until $520,000. He finally shook his head and stepped back. Sold to bidder 117 for $520,000. I paid the deposit that afternoon. The full amount was due within 30 days. I wired it from my investment account 2 weeks later. The title transferred to my name. The house Melissa had called her forever home, the one she'd stretched herself thin to afford and built her identity around, was now mine. The eviction notice was served by the sheriff's department. Standard procedure after foreclosure. The new owner had the right to take possession. The former owner had 90 days to vacate. Melissa called me for the first time in nearly 5 years. Did you know about this? Her voice was high, panicked. Did you know my house was in foreclosure? I saw the public notice. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? I haven't spoken to you in 5 years. Not since you locked me out of your house while I was having a diabetic emergency, and told me it wasn't your problem. Silence. The new owner, she said slowly. The eviction notice says the property is owned by Torres Holdings LLC. That's you, isn't it? That's my investment company. Yes. You bought my house. I bought a property at a foreclosure auction. It happened to be yours. This is revenge. You're kicking me out of my home because of something that happened years ago. I'm taking possession of a property I legally purchased. You're a former owner whose redemption period has expired. This is business. I have nowhere to go. I don't have money for first and last month's rent somewhere else. I lost my job. I'm barely surviving. You can't do this to me. You're right, I said calmly. You don't have anywhere to go. That must be frightening, having no safe place. Having someone refuse to help you when you're in crisis. That's not the same thing. Isn't it? You locked a door while I was dying. I'm buying a house you lost. Seems like your problem is significantly less life-threatening than mine was. I didn't mean for you to get hurt, she whispered. I was angry. I made a mistake. You texted me afterward and called me dramatic. You never apologized. You never acknowledged what you did. For 5 years, you acted like locking me out during a medical emergency was no big deal. I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear? What I want is irrelevant. What's happening is this. You have 90 days to vacate the property. After that, if you're still there, the sheriff will forcibly remove you. Those are the legal requirements. Please, Nathan. I'm your sister. I know I screwed up. I know I should have opened the door. I should have believed you. But please don't punish me like this. I'm not punishing you. I'm exercising my legal rights as a property owner. You chose to stretch yourself financially on a house you couldn't afford. You chose not to save money. You chose not to find work fast enough to stop the foreclosure. Those were your choices. I'm just the person who bought the house after your choices caught up with you. What do you want from me? She pleaded. Begging. What will it take for you to let me stay? Nothing. There's nothing you can offer me. The house is mine. You need to accept that and make arrangements. She started crying, heavy, desperate sobs, the sound of someone whose world is collapsing. I felt nothing. 90 days, I said. Use them wisely. I hung up before she could respond. My mother called within an hour. Your sister says you bought her house at foreclosure and you're evicting her. That's accurate. How could you do this? She's family. She's struggling. You have millions of dollars and you're taking away her home. She lost her home when she stopped paying the mortgage. I simply purchased it legally. Would you prefer a stranger bought it? I prefer that you show compassion. She made a mistake years ago. Haven't you moved past it? Have I moved past nearly dying on her driveway while she refused to open the door? No. Have I moved past her texting that I was being dramatic while I was in the hospital? Not really. So this is revenge. This is consequence. There's a difference. You're going to make your sister homeless. She made herself homeless by losing a house she couldn't afford. I'm just the one who bought it afterward. If you're so worried you have a guest room, she can stay with you. My mother didn't respond. Melissa had burned bridges with my parents over borrowed money she never repaid. We both knew that. The 90 days passed slowly. I hired a property management company to handle the process. They completed inspections, documented the condition, and tracked the eviction timeline. I drove by the house once around day 60. Melissa's car was in the driveway. The flower boxes she'd installed were empty, the plants dead. The pride she'd once taken in the house was gone. I felt a flicker of something, not sympathy exactly. More like recognition. Her dream was ending. But dreams die every day. Mine almost died on her driveway 5 years ago. On day 88, Melissa moved out. The property manager confirmed she'd turned in the keys. The house was vacant. I had the locks changed and hired cleaners. I never planned to live there. It was an investment property, nothing more. I'd rent it out to someone who'd treat it better than Melissa had in her final year. Before listing it, I walked through once. I saw the layout she loved, the kitchen she renovated, the backyard she landscaped. Saw the life she built and then lost. In the master bedroom closet, she'd left a framed photo of herself standing proudly in front of the house the day she bought it, keys in hand, smiling. I took the photo, placed it in a box with her other leftover items, and had the property manager deliver it to my mother's house, where Melissa was temporarily staying. Not out of kindness. Out of completeness. He should have that photo. Should remember what she had. Should remember that actions have consequences, even if they take 5 years to show up. I listed the house for rent at market rate. Within 3 days I had applications. I chose a young couple with a baby, stable jobs, good references, long-term potential. They moved in on the 1st of the month. Rent arrived on the 5th. Melissa's forever home became another rental property in my portfolio, generating passive income and building equity. Sometimes I think about that night on her porch, pounding on the door while my blood sugar plummeted, hearing her say it wasn't her problem. I think about waking up in the ambulance, about the hospital, about the fear of nearly dying because someone who should have cared chose not to. And then I think about the auction. My calm bid. The title transferring to my name. Melissa packing boxes in the house she thought she'd own forever. Melissa learning that problems have a way of becoming mutual. That doors lock from both sides. That "not my problem" is a dangerous sentence when you might one day need help yourself. I didn't buy her house for revenge. I bought it because it was a good investment in an appreciating neighborhood. Because the numbers made sense. Because I had the capital to do it. The fact that it was Melissa's house was coincidence. The fact that she had nowhere to go was irony. The fact that I felt nothing was consequence. 5 years ago she locked a door while I was dying and said it wasn't her problem. Today I own the house she couldn't afford, and she's someone else's problem. Not revenge. Just real estate.